All right, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're having a great Monday. How you doing, Jason?
Great.
What's the weather like there?
I will tell you, Saturday's round of golf was the worst I have ever played. Like the worst weather. Like I've played in hotter, but with the humidity and the temperature and no wind, it was literally the hottest round of golf I've ever played. It was crazy.
Just brutal, yeah. Did you just do 18 that day, or did you do 36?
No, we did 18 on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Cool. How was the course?
It was okay. I mean, it was just decent. We've played so many really nice courses. I mean, it's a big step up from a regular municipal course, but it's not like the stuff we've been playing for years.
Gotcha.
It's kind of fun. They got all these little clubhouses around the clubhouse and the 18th green. So, I mean, you literally stay on the golf course. It's pretty cool, and it's real it's not like a resort, right? But it's pretty cool. And there were 11 of us, and there were like another 50 guys that were all doing the same thing. So we had a ton of fun.
How'd you shoot?
I mean, I only play once every 2 years, so crappy.
Did it come back to you after a few days?
Yeah, I mean, I'm out there playing, and I'm like, I really enjoy it. But the problem in Houston is, even the crappiest municipal course. I mean, you're looking at somewhere between a 4 and 5 hour round, and I don't want to spend that kind of time on a golf course. If I could go out there and play, be done in 2.5 hours, get a full 18 in, like that would be ideal. But I like it. I just don't like doing it like all freaking day.
Gotcha. When I worked for Costco way back in the day, I was the receiving manager. So I was the one who opened up the building at 4 a.m., and I'd be out by 1 o'clock, and I would be on the course by 2, and usually done by 5 because everyone in the afternoon is gone. It's just a
Yep.
bunch of guys like me, and I'd shoot almost every afternoon. County course, $7 to play.
Yeah, it's you and all of the surgeons and anesthesiologists because that's when
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you're in the OR at like 4:30 and you're out by like you said 1, and you eat lunch at the course and you're on by 2. It's great.
All right, let's get going. Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Robert and Jason here. We are Mr. Texas Real Estate, and we're going to do our coronavirus market update the last day of August. Thank you very much for joining us. Always my disclosure, this is not an offer of securities. So we might be talking about 506Bs, 506Cs, joint tenancies, first lien, second lien, all this good stuff that we do with our investors and our lenders. But I can assure you that today, if I do mention that, it is for education and demonstration purposes only. You can talk to Brian Burr from our office if you'd like to learn more about our 506C. All right. Help us ring the bell. We're going to put another big push on. Lots of more emails going out there. We're more than halfway to our goal, but we need to get to 1,000 subscribers. When you get to 1,000, the YouTube world changes, and it gives us more tools that we desperately need. So if you haven't already subscribed, you jump on over there to the Texas Real Estate Radio Network channel, Mr. Texas Real Estate. Take a look at us and hit subscribe. Texas Real Estate Center. So I'm looking for a big reveal when I get back. I've been gone since Friday, so I'm hoping these guys worked a little this weekend.
Oh, Rob, I was there this morning. I went by to just check on it. Your office, my office has carpet in it.
Nice.
Most of the offices upstairs have carpet in them, and all a handful of guys were there working. Derek was there too, so it should look good by the time you get back. Good.
I'm hoping the signs get up.
Yep.
I'll talk to Derek a little bit later. But hey, guys, if you want to be a part of our community, we'd love to have you. Again, we've got attorneys and investors and lenders and agents. We're looking for a handful more people to come on in, but the majority of our offices are spoken for. That's very exciting. We're trying to build a community over there. We want folks to come in there, feel comfortable, like, hey, this is a good place to work. This is a good place to be. Lots of networking opportunities. And again, doing something that almost everyone has talked about over the last 10 years to do, and no one's actually done it. So Jason and I were able to put it together, and we have the Texas Real Estate Center. So if you're interested in getting a space, there's 8 singles left, 2 doubles, 3 suites, and 1 anchor. So 14 spots left of 41. So we are moving into the last third, if you will, getting taken care of here. We have up to 6,000 feet available. I think we're going to get someone to take that pretty quickly here. So nice anchor office. We have a very nice learning center, which we have started to renovate. We should be getting our. Looks like we got a few folks coming in for our Founders Club, Jason. So that's exciting as well, and we should be able to buy some high-tech equipment, get the learning center and cafes coming up here, the call center. The workstations we'll do after COVID kind of subsides a bit. But we have 3 conference room and media broadcast studio. And so we'd love to have you over in that building. Again, there are some single offices available, not many left. But this is definitely a place that you want to be. The other folks in that building is the folks that are working with us with this great opportunity at EXP. And again, Jason and I have said we're very happy the progress we've made here in the last 18 months, almost 2 years now, going on 2 years pretty quickly. And we're super happy. And if there's one regret, 2 years ago, Brant came to us with EXP, and we didn't take him seriously. We didn't do it. And we are definitely kicking ourselves for that, knowing that Brant is receiving $10,000 a month in residuals and has over $250,000 in stocks. He has done very, very, very well. And I just know had we put our mind to it, we'd be roughly at the same level as Brant. So if there's anything that we are a little bit regretful on is not joining EXP early enough. So don't let that be your regret. I have a program, Jason, I have a program called Club 45. Club 45 is we're looking for 45 agents that are going to work with Mr. Texas Real Estate. Writing up offers, doing our listings, doing our leases, finding us land, absolutely working with us while you're working on your own business. This is critical. We want you to get your own listings and your own deals outside of us. So ours is an enhancement. And if you're in NUECES County, I have a special offer for you guys. I will pay for your marketing for the first 6 months. We have lots of buyers ready to go, VIP buyers. I think we're going to pump out about $100 million in NUECES County. I know that sounds a lot, but Jason and I are already on $30 million in 18 months. I can tell you that over the next few years, $100 million will be easily. We need agents, guys, and we think we have solid work for the next 5 to 8 years. Club 45 premiere, we're going to talk about that on September 24th, 9 p.m. Text 281-401-9008 for a little more information. We're going to show you the 4 ways you make money, right? Doing deals with Mr. Texas Real Estate, and then how to get started. And then lastly, if you are interested in our crowd fund and you want to talk to us about the details, give Brian a shout. You can text him as well, 281-401-9008. All right. All right, Jason.
Okay. See, I don't know how you get that, Rob.
There you go.
Everybody can see mine on air?
Yep, do it again.
That says it's sharing. Well, you got 3 windows up now.
You good?
Dig into the meat of this thing, but it looks like this was, if you remember, shooting number one. And it looks like this guy, the first victim. So the rumor was this guy shot the first guy, then ran away because he was running from the mob that was trying to save this other dude, his first shooting victim, and that doesn't seem to be the case. It looks like shortly after the incident in the gas station, meaning something, they were at another business, got chased to the gas station where Rittenhouse was essentially backed up by himself. It was just him. And he shoots this one guy. That was the first shooting victim, and then runs. And the next video, you see him running down the street, and then those other two guys attack him, and then he shoots them both.
So in that first video, Jason, at the gas station, there's a video of him on the phone calling 911 saying, "I just killed somebody."
Yeah, you can see that, but what you can't see is all this that happened before.
Oh yeah, all that craziness. Yeah, he
Yeah,
was definitely on an island there. Yep.
Yeah, so he was on an island. They came at him, and he shot him. And it also sounds like one of the other. He was running. He heard, from what I understand, they actually have all this video now. There was a bunch of gunfire behind him. He turns around and hits a guy 7 times. I'm like, that's pretty insane. So, long story short, it looks like the first shooting is going to be a self-defense shooting as well. So this thing's over before it even gets started. So it'll be interesting to see if they even bother taking this thing to trial, or they do take it to trial or in front of the grand jury just so they can give him an acquittal. We'll see. My understanding is a lot of shootings in Texas end up that way, where they take them to court, essentially say, we can't convict them.
Interesting.
Good luck and God bless. Part of what, and I don't know, I'd love to get a legal expert on to talk about it, but part of the reason they do it, I believe, in Texas is so that there's very little room for a civil suit from the family. But again, all these laws are different for every single state. They all have different ways of doing it, and everything's kind of been off. I mean, everything's so weird since this whole Black Lives Matter thing started. So in any case, that's where it's at. But it looks like the first one's going to be justified. So we'll see. They're still getting all the video together. So it's kind of fascinating. This is interesting. This is running around Facebook right now like wildfire. And at first I thought it was just people really is this crazy like conspiracy theory stuff, or do they just not understand the science? So I think this is a fact of people don't understand the science. CDC report shows that 94% of COVID-19 deaths had contributing conditions. According to a report, only 6% of COVID-19 deaths mentioned COVID as the only cause. 94% had other health conditions and contributing causes. And when I read that, I was like, well, yeah, this thing's so deadly because of all the comorbidities. You don't get killed by the COVID, you get killed by the comorbidity. Coronavirus accelerates the comorbidities, the obesity, the heart problems, the lung issues, the kidney failure, the liver problems. Coronavirus greatly exacerbates the underlying health conditions. So I was like, you got to be kidding me. No one's talking about this. And then the guys over at Axios actually posted an article and said, hey, look, this report doesn't mean that COVID isn't as bad as we thought. It's clear the CDC statistics on excess deaths that more people are dying than usual because of COVID. The fact that common pre-existing medical conditions are often coincide with the deadly virus is part of what makes it so scary. So basically, it's amazing. People are posting this like, oh, well, Corona is not that deadly. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. You may have a heart condition. It makes your heart condition 10 times worse. You have a kidney problem. It makes your kidney issues 10 times worse. So while your body is trying to fight coronavirus, those underlying conditions are making your health, are deteriorating your health rapidly. That's what this article really means. But the way it's written, it makes it sound like, oh, well, the other 94% of deaths aren't really corona related, which is not true. This is a very classic how to lie with statistics if you don't understand what the underlying disease progression is. So, Rob, I don't know if you've seen us, don't even run around Disney and all that stuff, but it's a really fascinating, it's a very short article. This is it. So if you may not die of corona, but corona is going to cause you to die of any one of these things. And you can see it, it's showing up in the death statistics, a good way to put it. So if you guys are seeing this out there, that's what's going on. It's not, coronavirus is not deadly. It's whatever your underlying comorbidity is making it much more detrimental for you, if that makes sense. So anyways, that's what this is. And by the way, these comorbidities listed here are about 50% of the U.S. population. That's what makes it so deadly. So hopefully that clears a couple of things up. But what people are reporting, and that this article they keep sharing, this article just doesn't make any sense. The way it's being interpreted by kind of the masses. Good, easy. This is a very sleight of hand, easy way to lie about stuff. All right, let's talk about real estate stuff. Average mortgage rate falls to 2.9%. Second lowest level on record, staying under 3% for the 5th consecutive week. Crazy. Crazy. In fact, I'm going to talk about this right here, so why don't we just go ahead and pull it up. This is from earlier last week. U.S. homes jump, breaking $300,000. In fact, let's go over here. Oh, maybe I don't have it open. I thought I had it. Here it is. Pending home sales up 6% in July. For the 3rd straight month in July, home sales are up. I'm wondering if it shows year over year, June, July. On a year over year basis, oh my gosh, here it is, Rob. On a year over year basis, sales are up 16%.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow.
Here's the chart. That's 2009. This is us here.
Wow, that's the peak.
I'd say that looks mighty like a V-shaped recovery to me. Looks like a
that is definitely a V-shaped recovery.
Houses in the south are up 25 about 1%. Northeast about 25%. Largest gain was Northeast year over year, 21%.
Moving out of the cities.
Unreal. If you guys are waiting for real estate crash, not going to happen. Oh, by the way, Rob, on Saturday, was it Friday or Saturday? Saturday's round, I had to stay in my Trump voice for a full 18 holes.
That's funny.
So my Trump is getting really good, and I had a sore voice most of Sunday. But anyways.
COVID.
Yeah, it was the COVID. Housing cliff meets fiscal cliff. So here's what's going on. I'll break this all down for you guys, and it's probably down here. Give me 1 second. Here it is. So here's what's going on. For whatever reason, we have to print more money. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because there's an election in 65 days, but Santa Claus is going to come to town. Now, the Republicans and Trump and the Democrats with Pelosi are all arguing about how much money they don't have to give to us. So that's really what's going on here. Like, if you believe in fiscal conservatism, Trump ain't your guy. In fact, none of these people are your guy. So we're debating over $3 trillion or $2 trillion, or maybe we split the difference on this other trillion. It's just ridiculous the amount of money that's getting printed here. So if you believe there's going to be a real estate crash, if you believe there's going to be all these assets on sale, not going to happen. There's so much money being pumped into the system. The velocity of money is increasing rapidly. And with that increase, that money's got to fall in a handful of places. And usually it's places that are mainly fueled by debt, which is healthcare, education, cars, and housing. Again, if you're waiting for this other shoe to drop and there's going to be like a great deal on an apartment complex, there's going to be a great deal on a single family home, it's not going to happen. It's just not. So good luck waiting for the next crash. Ain't coming. Just an FYI here, this was set to expire last week. FHA extends foreclosure and eviction moratorium until the 31st of December.
Wow. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah, so I think, Rob, you predicted that one. You said this gets punted past the election.
Of course.
Yeah, so this thing's past the election. Nobody's getting evicted. My guess is there's going to be some stuff on the CARES Act here. I scrolled too fast. Somewhere around here. CARES Act is going to get kicked. So I think guys, they're just going to print money. They're going to print and print and print and print and print and print and forego foreclosures and forego evictions and all. They're just going to keep printing until the election. And I think even after that, because you got to remember, after 2020 is what? 2022. We'll be in the middle of another election cycle. We could actually sit down and calculate how many seats are up for grabs in 2022. But my guess is, this thing is, it's just getting hammered. Open Door, this is where things get interesting. Open Door opens a brokerage. They got their iBuyer program. They've got $4.3 billion with that's looking for a home. So in Phoenix, they opened up the Home Reserve program and a handful of other things. What's interesting in here is you're going through this, you're like, okay, OfferPad's open a brokerage, makes sense. And then looky here. Zillow Group quietly became a corporate broker in New York and Arizona. Isn't that interesting? What does this mean? I'm not quite sure. But I do know this. The smartest, most agile companies are vertically integrated. So why wouldn't you open up a brokerage to buy houses with your fund? Should sound very familiar. This is what Rob and I are doing. So I think this is going to become more commonplace. I will tell you this. If you're trying to get in real estate wholesaling, good luck. Because these guys are about to just crush that marketplace. They really are. Here's your mortgage update. So 30 years down, 15 years down. FHA and jumbo are up just a little bit, but that's the 52-week range right there. They're still at the bottom, and I expect that this is going to continue. I don't see rates going up anytime soon. I could almost make the prediction I don't see rates going up in my lifetime, but that might be a little extreme. Nobody would believe that, but until it happens. So the stuff just isn't going to get cheaper. There's less of it. You guys saw in the report from last week that wood is just getting more and more expensive. Lumber is going through the roof. Actually, we can look. Let me see what... Oh, we'll go right to CME. Oh, they don't have a chart on here. Let me go to... let's see if FinViz tracks it in their commodities. Energy, softs, metals, grains, currencies. No. I wonder if they're tracking it down here now. Yeah, I don't see it. Yeah, I was really hoping I could see it here. Oh, here it is. Here's your lumber chart. I don't know why I missed that. That's your lumber chart for the last year. That is going from an average to about $400 to $900 is ridiculous.
Wow.
This is a futures chart, so it's absolutely insane. So if you bought something back here, of course you'd be doing I don't know, how long, Rob, to get to framing, how long would it take you to get to framing? You just bought a lot. And now you're buying, maybe a better way to put it is you're buying your framing package. So you got to go through.
Well, that's when you're shovel ready. So you've gotten all your clearance from the city, you're ready to go. You're probably 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks from framing.
Okay, let's do this. Let me see. Oh, I got to sign up for it. So 8 weeks would put you back somewhere over here. Yeah. So if you bought,
you're dead.
Yeah, if you bought in May at $399 and now you're up over $800. I mean, your framing package just doubled, and that I
Yep.
saw somebody said OSB is up by almost a factor of 3. It was something ridiculous.
Yeah,
So
Joe said, basically 2x4s have double in price, $2.35 to $5 a stick.
yeah, that's insane. So it's all getting crazy expensive, and I don't see it. I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. So um, again, you know, let's go back. Let's look at our meats again. Remember the hog market was kind of crazy, wasn't it? Yeah, it was a big decline in hog market because of the on the hoof. So I'm learning all of some of the futures lingo from some of these guys. The
Mm-hmm.
on the hoof, right? Because you couldn't get them through the processing plants fast enough, so the price collapsed. You can see it's still down. It's almost down 40% since last year, simply because they couldn't get the hogs in. Right? If you guys remember
Yeah.
that, we couldn't get them in, and it looks like it's still a problem. So very interesting when you get into some of these future markets to see what the commodities are doing. Of course, here's gold. No shocker here. Just it was in the doldrums for so long since about '09, and now it's kind of pumped back up again. Um, if I remember, the historic price for gold was like $400 an ounce until about 2009. But anyways, I don't want to get into all this stuff. It just gets us down a whole different rabbit trail. But we'll tell you this. If you're waiting for real estate to become less expensive, you're going to be waiting a long time. It's just not. It's flat out not. Absolutely not. 200 sticks, a 2x4 was a G. Holy cow. That's
Crazy.
nuts. Yeah, I just saw Joe's message here on our chat. Yeah, absolutely crazy. Yeah, moratorium is that across the country on the eviction moratorium? Yes, that's for federally backed mortgages, Henry. So if you've got a federally backed mortgage, you will not be able to evict someone until the 31st. Well, actually, let me back up. That's for foreclosures that result in an eviction. Those will not occur until the 31st of December. The evictions for landlords are, I believe, those are state or county run. And we can evict people right now as long as they are not federally backed mortgage. But again, I don't believe that's a national requirement. I think that's a local one. Is that right, Rob? Is that where for some reason I have that distinction in my head? I don't remember reading it, but that was the rumor mill.
You can evict if they're non-federally backed here in Harris County. Harris County itself was just dragging their ass overall, waiting for some sort of national program, and it didn't.
Yeah.
It never happened, right? So then they opened up the doors 30 days ago, and we started filing, and all of a sudden people have money. It's amazing.
Oh, Susan said state by state. The eviction moratorium in Illinois applies to all mortgages. Okay, so it is state by state. But the foreclosure piece is the part that's interesting because those are they're going to elect the trustee. Fannie and Freddie. The GSEs are going to elect at least that's how they do it down here. They get a substitute trustee to start the foreclosure process, then they do an eviction. So I can't imagine that would be nationally mandated. So it looks like the other stuff state by state. So we can do our evictions here as long as it's not a Fannie Mae loan. So, but yeah, what a mess. Boy, I thought when this whole thing started, and a couple of really smart guys told me, Jason, you can write off 2020. I was like, oh, come on, it can't be that bad. I guess it can be.
Well, I think we've already said as far as live events, we're not even 6 months after a vaccine that's released generally.
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking at, who knows, spring for sure, right? 1 year probably without events.
Oh, yeah, I think that's definitely. I think your number. I think your number of 6 months after the vaccine actually comes out, like they start manufacturing the vaccine. I think that's when we'll start to have events again. I think that's a solid that's a reasonable
Yeah.
prediction.
Yep. I mean, there are people in California doing it now, and they've got no attendance. I mean, you know, Eddie and Rich run a massive meetup, right? A massive group, but that's not their business. Same thing with us. Like we run lots of events, but it's not our core business. A lot of these guys out there that run these rooms, it is their core business, and they're desperate to get people back in the room to start selling them, $9.97 pieces of crap,
Yeah.
and they're trying desperately, and like 6 or 8 people are showing up, like no one's there.
Well, of course. I mean, I will tell you, this weekend was really weird. We were at this golf course. There's like 50 guys there, and I'll tell you, it was. And you guys know that I've been watching this. I'm still traveling. Rob is still traveling. Let me turn this on. I've been traveling. Rob is doing a little bit of traveling. I'm planning a couple more trips here this year, hopefully before the end of the year. And I want to go back to Mexico. I want to go up to Olympus there in Seattle. My brother's coming down from Seattle in a couple of weeks. And I realize Rob and I are kind of the rare ones in this kind of scenario. But I'll tell you this: when I was hanging out with all these guys this weekend, like I said, it was about 50 guys out there playing golf, and we were outside. We were hanging out, so I don't think there was much coronavirus risk there. And it was 175 outside. And we weren't sitting real close to each other. I can tell you that. Everyone was kind of, I'll tell you, these were all conservative, like Texas guys. Like these guys were more likely to post on Facebook that coronavirus is fake, right? But I'll tell you what, everybody was sitting kind of far from each other, especially guys that haven't seen each other in a couple of months. And most of the group we didn't know. And it was weird not wearing a mask, going into the clubhouse not wearing a mask. The tables were all set up, so it wasn't really that much social distancing, but there weren't that many people there. So it was weird. And we're not, I don't know how else to say this. We're not prude travel wise, right? Because I've been traveling through this whole thing. Not all the time, maybe every other month or so. And even for me, it was different. So the idea that we're going to go back to normal with full air travel, full, going to Disney. One of the stats that we had read early on, Rob, is that it takes, in a normal recession, it takes 3 to 5 years, typically about 3 years, for air travel to return to pre-recession levels. Now, with this whole health thing on top of it, air travel's down like 90%. And the next high water mark will be next weekend, right? What is that, Labor Day?
Yep.
So next weekend's Labor Day, and we'll see if air traffic's down 80, 90%. That tells us everything. People are just not going to be traveling, which is going to be great if you guys are Airbnb investors. It's fantastic for Airbnb. Our Airbnbs are just absolutely booked. I know, because there's a lot of complaining going around me that we can't even go to our beach houses we own. So I just say complaining. Nobody's really complaining. Everyone's like, when can we go back to the beach? And I'm like, they're all booked. Tough. So. But and the same is in Corpus for the stuff that Rob's got down in Corpus. But I don't think this is going to come back. My whole point in that whole golf story is I don't think this thing's going to come back overnight. We may be looking at a 2-year haul here. So 6 months after after the vaccine gets approved, I believe this is going to turn into like I Am Legend, and y'all are going to turn into zombies for taking the vaccine. I'm just kidding. Don't. I know I'm going to get banned on Facebook for saying that, but. I think what happens next is it takes 6 months for the vaccine to get distributed, and then we start having events. But you can have all the free beer and pizza and chicken wings and all that you want for some of these real estate events. I think it's only going to be the hardcore 15, 20 guys and gals that show up. I don't think, think about like the self-directed IRA companies, right? The Quest Trusts of the world, whose median age is probably, what do you think, Rob? 58?
Yeah, 60. Yeah.
What you think the median age over there is 60? You think those folks are going to be running back so they can sit
No, not at all.
stuffy conference room?
Nope.
Not going to happen. So now I do think the big events will come back. They absolutely will come back. We'll be back at 1,000-person rooms that we've had before. Our venue, our building is set up where it's all outside, so that's even better for the larger events. But I think if you used to have a real estate club and you had 200 people there on a Thursday night once a month, it's not going to happen. That's probably another 2 years away. Just based off the behavior I was seeing. Again, these were the kind of people I was hanging out with this weekend. 50 guys, and if I were to guess, the oldest guy in our group of all 50, we got a guy that's in his late 50s. 50. I'm trying to remember what Lou is. No, maybe he's 54. Most of the guys in our group are in their early 50s, and most of them, like I'm one of the younger guys in the group at 42. So, and I've said this before, if this is the first time you guys are watching this, I've been out in the town a couple nights a week here in Houston and in a couple other markets since coronavirus. And I go to a restaurant. I live here in the Heights. I mean, it should be packed. I've been in Heights and Memorial, which is Spring Branch is another one. And you go to a restaurant there, and I've gone out on a Tuesday night, and it's just me and whoever I went to the restaurant with. We're the only ones there, and the restaurant should be packed. Any other night of the week, it'd be packed. It would be loud. You can't find parking. I've gone to a Memorial Town Center or City Center, whatever they call it, and I've pulled up, and they run out of parking for valet on a Wednesday night. Like, that's how crazy that place would get. You go there now, it's a ghost town. It's an absolute ghost town. So I would just be aware. They're going to open the country back up, but I don't think people are going to go back to their old normal for like 2 years. With Zillow becoming a broker, do you think they are staging for new tech such enhancing blockchain capabilities and smart contracts, financing, and real estate? I don't know what any of that means. The only place, I read some of this stuff and I'm like, okay, so what does that really mean? You still have to, the problem with contracts is you still got to sit down and explain it to a seller. I think if we talk about blockchain, I think the place where you'll see blockchain most impactful is in the chain of title. Title companies, I think title companies got about a 20 or 30-year lifespan left on them before somebody implements a blockchain that can really show a chain of title. And I don't know if that means that you're going to get rid of title companies. That probably won't happen. But title services will be much cheaper because of blockchain. Now, on the financing side, this would be an interesting question, Rob. Do you think under a certain price point, do you even bother getting an appraisal? When you start looking at houses below $200,000, do you even bother getting an appraisal in certain submarkets? Like in Houston, look at all the deals that we bought in the last year, and how many of those are under 200 grand? Like, in other words, the amount of time and money it takes to get an appraisal, would that offset any potential losses from the GSEs if they were over leveraged on a house below 200 grand? And I think that is where you're going to start seeing some really interesting discussions nationally. Or do you just do a desktop appraisal? Look, FHA will take, or Fannie or Freddie will take a desktop appraisal because appraisers are completely backed up. Or will it even be a desktop? Will they say, hey, will you do a BPO? Will a broker do a BPO? As long as it's not the originating broker. I could totally see something like that happening. Or take it a step further, do you even really need appraisers at certain price points? Do you just have an API dump into the, and I can't remember what the big mortgage databases are, but the ones that all you mortgage guys use, that you can run all the different scenarios. Why don't you just put an address in? You could hire a guy to do the inspector go out and inspect it and take some pictures to show that it's not falling down and it's not like there's been a fire on the inside. The kitchen's still there, and you could literally pull in data from MLS, and I bet it's accurate within 15%. So I could see some of that kind of stuff happening in the finance space at the lower price points. Here's the big problem in real estate. Here's the next real estate crisis. The next real estate crisis is a lack of affordable housing. So why not make mortgages? I can see this happening too, where you could get into a scenario where, hey, if you're buying a house below $300,000 and it's for an owner occupant, you're a first time home buyer, maybe the mortgage is half, the interest rate is half of what it is for mortgages above $300,000. I could see them doing 40-year mortgages at that price point. We got an affordable housing problem. You can't afford a house, we're going to do a 40-year mortgage. I mean, there's all kinds of different scenarios they could do to play with the payment, because they're not going to be able to bring down the price of real estate, but they can bring down the payment. Maybe if you're a first-time home buyer, it's 3%. Like FHA's first-time home buyer program? It's 3% down. So maybe it's 3% down, 0% interest, 40-year mortgage. I don't know. And then for the folks that are already in those lower, let's say, first-time home buyer homes, you're looking to move up. I mean, there's so many different ways to play this, but the only place new inventory is being built for housing is at the high end. So do we make it easier to finance and to buy for the low end, which will drive up prices of low-end houses, but their payments will be the same, if not lower? The people that are in those houses can then afford to sell their houses and move up to a higher tier house. I could see a scenario like that playing out. Now,
so you're talking about extending the cap on the FHA and pushing the jumbo even higher?
Yeah, they need to take that jumbo cap, just start it at a mill.
Yeah, I agree.
Just start it at a mill. That's, I think, the way to go. Somebody said on Facebook, will they ever lower the 20-25% down for investors? I can't imagine they're going to change that anytime soon. See,
the bigger question, Jason, is will they go back to LTV versus LTC?
Well, they are on Fannie and Freddie. Those are all LTV loans. The secondary market, well, the non-QMs are all, of course, LTC right now. But what can I see them change for investors? Here's where I think that is ripe for disruption. And they've been writing papers about this for 3 years now. They show up in the white papers in Fannie, Freddie, like the GSE. There's like a GSE newsletter, if you will. And I'll see if I can find it. But I can see very aggressive lending for small multifamily from the GSEs. Because our housing stock is so tight. Sure. And one of the things that I'll see if I can find that report. I read it years ago. It said something like 30% of our housing stock in the United States is in small apartments. It was some crazy number like that.
So maybe they pushed the cap from 1 to 4 to like 1 to 8.
Yeah, I can see them doing that, or they take that $1 million portfolio loan. No, it's not the small balance portfolio loan, and they drop it down to $500K. And they make it really easy to, and they add a bridge component to it, right? Because the hard part's getting the hard money to fix it up and refi it. So one of the things that was interesting in that article, they said, and like I said, it was 20 or 30% of the housing stock is these small apartments. So the other problem with that is that they recognized in this white paper, and this was all a bunch of egghead academics. Like, it wasn't like CNN was going to write an article about this, right? I mean, it was all a bunch of economist nerds that work for the government. And one of the things it said in there is that the problem with that 30% of housing stock in small apartments is these small apartments are owned and operated by mom and pops who haven't done the infrastructure upgrades required to meet market demand, which means a lot of these small apartments, you and I know because we own a ton of them, they're way below market rent because they're pieces of crap. So these mom and pop operators don't have A, the financing, and B, the infrastructure to do a rehab like an investment group that goes out and buys a 100-unit apartment complex. So I could see a scenario where the GSEs get together and say, all right, how do we build a really good program for small apartment operators? Like a really good financing program. I could totally see them doing that. And then I could see them doing something on the low end side of housing. We'll see. Right now, let's be honest. Right now, not a damn thing's getting done until the election. I mean, right now, we're just trying to get people to stop killing each other in the streets. And I can tell you right now, the conservatives are going to win that game. You're about to see that game unfold. You know, guys walking around with MAGA hats, cutting people down, doing stupid stuff. So it's all going to be justified. I can tell you that. It's going to anger a lot of people, but it's going to be totally true. I didn't shoot the guy until he started shooting at me, and I'm just a way better shot than he is. Like, that's going to happen, trust me. So, in fact, it's already happening. So once we finally get it out of the election, now here's the other thing I'm telling you. I firmly do believe Trump is going to win, and he's going to win big, because I really don't think the Democrats want to win. I saw a whole thing that a couple of guys put together. It was really interesting on YouTube. I think they're right. But I do absolutely believe this unrest, even after the election, is going to get worse. It's going to get so much worse. Now, again, I don't want it to get worse, but this is really good for Texas. Because all these folks that have got money, that have the mobility, they're in California, they're in Seattle, they're in Southern California, Seattle, they're in Portland. There are reasonable people in these marketplaces. Don't think that, let's say you're a conservative and all left-leaning folks are crazy liberals and they love the BLM stuff and the riots and all. Trust me, 99% of them don't want any of this crap. Trust me.
No.
Most liberals are just, a lot of them are really wealthy, and they just want to help out. I totally get it. The joke used to be years ago was the bleeding heart liberal. There's nothing wrong with that. They just want to see everybody do better. They just got a different way they want to do it. But they're not these crazy ass leftists that you guys are seeing out there. These people are crazy. But the party is being taken over by those crazies. And so are their states. So they're looking around in California, sitting there at this vineyard that they actually, not even sit at the vineyard, driving by the vineyard they used to go to once a week, where they could sit down with all the husbands, all the wives after a round of golf, or, maybe it's the pre-poker night, get together, and they got the kids there, and they're like, we can't even do that. And then we got riots in the street, and I got all these bums living on the corner of my $2 million house. I'm like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. I want to see if I can move to Austin. Or maybe I can move to Florida. Yeah, those people in Texas are a little crazy, but they're not this nonsense. So what is it, Rob? You got to deal with a little xenophobia, but it's not like the crazy stuff here. Car getting broken into, needles on my doorstep. I got to worry about have my kids playing in the yard. I mean, they don't deal with that. You don't deal with that nonsense down here. So you're going to see this market grow like wildfire, and it's going to get worse. It won't get worse in Texas. It's going to get worse in these other markets. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Because remember, as soon as we have this election, we got another one 2 years away. And it's going to start literally right after that. So I don't mean to be doom and gloom, but I mean, Rob, would you have predicted any of this stuff over the last 2 months? It's just freaking shocking. The social decline, how rapid it's been. So
yeah, there's all the ingredients are there, right? A bunch of people don't work, nothing to do, bored, and there's a little spark on it, and everything goes off. And
so I was with all these guys this weekend, 50 dudes. 12 of these guys are in our group. We've been in this fantasy football league for 23 years. And we have guys come and go, but most of these guys, we're all real good friends with. And we're sitting around the campfire. We actually did not light a campfire because it was so damn hot, but we were around the fire pits, probably a better way to put it. And all these guys they're doing really, really well. And then you start talking to all the guys that are in the groups around us. And they're all like, yeah, man, 2020 has turned out to be a banner year for my business. I'm in finance, I'm in accounting, I'm in construction, I'm in whatever. And all these guys are doing really well. So, in fact, I was talking to a buddy of mine. He's endodontist. He was like, hey, I saw a little dip, 15, 20%, and then it was back on. Once everything was open, and we're really not even open here in Houston. It was like, it's back on. I'm going to have a record year. And so folks who could work from home are doing really well. John Edwards said it best, even though I didn't agree with it when he said it, 15 years ago now. There's two Americas. There's the folks that can buy real estate and live the American dream and all that stuff. This is a beautiful house. We're in a beautiful neighborhood here. And then there's a whole lot of people that aren't. And the whole lot of people the other half of America that is suffering right now are the folks that were never going to buy a single family home anyway. And what are they doing? They were in a crappy job before. Now they've got no job. and they're angry, so they're out there protesting and doing all that nonsense. And so it's just it's a cycle. We can see the spiraling of the cycle. And there's some truth that the middle class is being crushed. So actually, I shouldn't say, probably a better way to put it is, I don't think the middle class is getting crushed. I think the ability to be upwardly mobile is becoming a lot more challenging. It really is. So,
Yeah,
oh, you're there. Okay, good. I thought you.
Yeah, again, I think the sad thing is the people whose voices need to be heard are drummed out by a bunch of leftists, right? And we're just turned off, and we're not interested in tuning into any of that because all we're seeing is small businesses burning to the ground and getting looted. We're like, that could be us next.
Yeah,
I'm not interested in having any conversation.
I was sitting there and I'm like, what would we do if we had a riot up and down Hollister, 5295 Hollister, and I'm like, well, we got a little parapet wall on top of our building. Our building's actually very secure. That's but it's like, I mean, I go back to the Rodney King riots, and all those Asian businesses, all those riots were like on the border of Chinatown, and all those Asian business owners, they didn't put up with any of that nonsense. They had guys with guns in the parking lot. They had guys with guns on the roof. You were just not going to, because you got to remember, a lot of those Chinese immigrants, that's their whole family. Their whole family is associated with that business. That's the only thing they own, and they are not going to let it go by the wayside. So, what would we be doing if we were in that same scenario? And I damn well know down here in Texas, we wouldn't be the only one standing there. So,
well, there was a county DA in Wisconsin, and she was African American, and she's standing there with two white sheriffs, and she said, "This isn't happening here," and as soon as it starts, we arrest people, and then not only does she arrest them, she puts their picture on TV with their name.
Oh,
so here's the Antifa member. This guy, school teacher. Oh, interesting. This guy's teaching school. Here's this kid, and a lot of these people, this stuff is going to haunt. They don't understand that it will haunt them for the rest of their lives. Because this stuff eventually this will get settled and it will go away, and it is not going to be good for those that are running around the streets. It never is. At some point, I hate to make the comparisons, but it's Richard Nixon stood up and said, "I'm the law and order president." This silent majority is out there, and they don't want to see this anymore. They don't want their cities burning anymore. And I think if this continues on and Trump makes it about civil unrest, Trump wins. And if it stops and it goes back to COVID, then Biden wins. I think it's about whatever topic is hotter is really going to dictate who wins that presidency.
Well, look at, here's a classic example. I mean, you look at Nancy Pelosi. You could probably lump Hillary Clinton in this group too.
Sure.
Other like
super rich white ladies.
Old school rich liberals, right? And they may scream, "Oh, we're voting for Biden. Biden's great. Biden's that." But I'll tell you what, in the privacy of that voting booth, they're like, "You got to be kidding me!" They're the Democratic Party, and it's not just usually like the National Party says crazy stuff, right? Because they're trying to excite their base. This has flowed all the way down to state and local governments.
Yeah, city council people just making crazy stuff.
People saying defund the police while the street is burning in front of their house. Like, I can't believe Mayor Lightfoot. If you guys have not seen this, they almost killed Rand Paul the other night. Like, those cops weren't there. We were talking about a senator who got beaten to death with his wife and his family and a couple of his friends, literally 2 blocks from the White House lawn. You ought to watch that story. They got video of it. They would have beaten him to death. Now, maybe they wouldn't have killed his wife and the friends that were with him, but they would have beaten him to death. He's almost died 2 times already. That's a sitting senator. You guys got to remember, the Senate, the United States Senate, is the most powerful deliberative body in the world.
Yeah.
Like, a senator is almost as powerful as the United States president. Like, being in the Senate is a big deal. Now, being out of the House, you're kind of like you're a clown just like the rest of them, right? But being in the Senate is a really big deal. And if you've got a senator that damn near got killed 2 blocks from the White House, that's a huge. That tells you how bad things are. If those cops weren't there, I guarantee he'd be dead, or he'd be at least in the hospital, just in a coma.
I watched an interesting YouTube video by a guy named Ami Holowitz.
Yeah.
And he went to Harlem and said, hey, they're talking about defunding the police. What do you think? And everyone's on the streets like, that's crazy. This place will be chaos. You can't defund the police. We need them here. And it was the people that have suffered the most injustice, African Americans. And I will concede, it sucks to be an African American in this country. It's not good. It's not easy. Better than anywhere else, but still not easy here. Those voices have gone. We're not even listening to them anymore. Right now, all we're watching is a bunch of white kids on the street with wet black hoodies and masks and LARPing with shields, burning things down and breaking things. And it's like, it's absolutely nothing to us other than the fact that we don't want to see it anymore. And we're forgetting about, George Floyd and all these other folks that, legitimate gripes, legitimate problems with bad police turns into, white kids burning things down. And it makes no sense at all to me how that message gets co-opted and stolen and perverted.
Well, and the problem is that, I was listening to, I can't remember if it was Tucker or Tim or one of the other guys. And I talked about this on the radio show this morning. They broke it down and they said, BLM is little more than a get out the vote campaign. And I was like, all right, where are we going with this? And they said that, look, nobody's excited about Biden. There's nothing exciting here. It was exciting to vote for Obama, right? And to a certain extent, if you believed in a portion of her politics, it's exciting to vote for Hillary. There's nothing exciting about Biden. He's lost God knows how many presidential elections. I don't know, 2 or 3. You're the historian. I think he's lost 2 or 3 already.
Yes, absolutely.
This guy, he's a non-starter. Kamala Harris is crazy. So the only way to get out the vote is to really get folks whipped up about BLM. And Trump's a racist and Trump's terrible. And all. Even though any metric you use to track racism, whatever that means, or institutional, systemic racism, there's no data out there that says anything. It's really hard to tease out some kind of number that makes sense. So how do you get people to show up? Because they're not showing up to vote for somebody because nobody likes any of those folks. I mean, what's crazy is you have the Democrat and both Democrats. One was for that big crime law enforcement bill in the 90s. And then the other one enforced it. I mean, I'm amazed if Kamala should be a conservative for all. I mean, at least her stance on law and order. I mean, she was like jailing people like.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It was like she was turning into little Singapore. Like if you chew gum and spit on the sidewalk, she's putting you in jail, right? This is crazy. So I don't know. All I'm going to say is it's not going to get any better. But thank God we're living here in Texas because living somewhere else would just be crazy. I mean, just bananas. So like I said, I'll go back to the thesis. There's a lot of really rich people. A lot of people have got rich relative to the median income, median family, that sort of thing, that can get up and move to Texas. Or maybe they don't move today, they move a year from now or 5 years from now. I mean, they're coming. Joe Rogan and Elon Musk ain't the only rich guys showing up in town. Give me a couple more guys. What is the YouTube channel you were talking about dealing with the government?
You talking about Tim?
I can't remember. I was watching. There's a couple guys I watch. I watched Tucker Carlson on YouTube.
Tim Pool.
And Tim Pool. Tim Pool is he's a liberal. He's been liberal his whole life until about 6 months ago.
Occupy Wall Street guy.
Yeah, he was a Occupy Wall Street guy. And I actually watched some of his stuff when he was an Occupy Wall Street guy. He's a sharp dude. And he's one of these old school, what they call in-bed reporters. He's been all over the world. He's like 32. And he's been all over the world in riots and coups. And He was all over Occupy Wall Street. He's been everywhere. And so he's got some, I always like the guys who've got real international experience because it adds a level of color, if you will, to a lot of these riots. Because the way I look at it is I'm like, oh, this is a bunch of people acting like a bunch of kids, right? Until the guns show up. Actually, probably the best way to put it is until the guys with the guns who know how to shoot them show up. That's when you start. When I first saw all this stuff and they'd arrest some guy for carrying a gun and it was some Antifa, BLM, liberal moron, I was like, well, they're really only a danger to themselves. I mean, really, let's get honest with you. They're only a danger to themselves, right? And a couple of people around them. But then we get these 17-year-old kids that can put 7 rounds on somebody walking backwards, and they don't hit anybody else, and they're not spraying 30 rounds. They only hit this one guy with 7. That's why everyone talks about mass shooters. I always find this fascinating. Oh, this mass shooter brought in, like 500 rounds and killed 3 people. I'm like, he ain't a mass shooter. The real ones you got to be scared of, the guys that actually put bullets on targets, and that kid can put bullets on targets at 17. And it's not like he was he wasn't like a Navy SEAL or something. I mean, he wasn't he was just a kid that probably knows how to shoot, and boy, he put him down without injuring anyone else. If you guys want to see something scary, look at police shooting statistics. That last shooting, was that in Southern California, Rob, where they chased that guy all over the state?
Yes.
SoCal, that cop went AWOL, and a bunch of cops brought in ARs, and they killed a bunch of innocent bystanders, destroyed a bunch of property. Most cops can't shoot.
Yeah.
99%, they're terrible. But you bring out somebody who could shoot like this kid, he knocked down 3 people, and the only reason he didn't kill that third guy is because he was on his back fighting them off with his rifle. Guarantee you, man, look at it this way. He went 2 for 3. Most people are not that good. And this is just some 17-year-old punk kid. So wait till this Antifa stuff, this BLM stuff gets ratcheted up another notch, and they start screwing around with guys who can really shoot. And there's not just one kid, it's 3 guys, and it's a mob of 60 people. And half of them are armed, and see how long they last. Those 3 guys will kill half those folks before they even know what hit them. So,
well, 2 things on that. On the right side, I think the use of federal forces is 1,000% justified if the city is not doing anything and federal employees and federal property is at stake, right?
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with that. On the other side, there's only one person who can stand up at this point and try and shut it down, and that I think would sway people back as if she does it. If Kamala Harris stands up and says enough, no violence, blah blah blah, and just really starts differentiating protests from riots, if she takes a stand on it, I can see that swaying the votes, calming people down. That hey, this side is not crazy; they're not going to allow this stuff to happen. And if she doesn't do it, and if Trump runs in there with more federal troops, yeah, he's going to win the election. He's going to win the election by a show of strength. And the left doesn't believe it.
Well, Don Lemon already came out and said last week, he let it slip when he was talking to somebody in Biden's campaign, and he said, hey, guys, we're already seeing this showing up in the polls and the focus groups. Yep. Like, it's greatly swaying votes. I'll tell you this. I was reading some reports earlier today. It shouldn't be this tight. This race is already, in the very skewed polls, is already really tight. And then I saw some data this morning on Zero Hedge where they said that Trump is now, this wasn't true a couple of weeks ago. This is what's been amazing the last couple of weeks. He's ahead of where he was last election in the swing states. And you got to remember, this campaign really hasn't started yet. They really start after Labor Day. Like, that's the final stretch.
Yeah, next week, for sure. Yep.
So, and the convention's already over. And from what I read, the Republicans outraised the Democrats like by 40 or 50%, something ridiculous. They had like a third or 2/3 more viewers. It was some crazy numbers. And you got to think, you'd think the Democrat convention would be bigger simply because no one's heard from them for the last 6 months.
Yeah, Biden had a 9-point lead in the overall battleground state poll. He's down to 2.7.
Yeah, he's losing big time. That means
it's not good.
Probably a better way to put it is he's getting slaughtered. He's
Yep.
got to be in double digits to even have a chance because we all know the Trump supporters are way underreported. So I think you get ready for a Trump presidency, but I will tell you these violence and
Second term.
all that, yeah, second term. You get ready for a second term. It's coming. So if you're in one of these cities, if you're in the Kenosha's of the world, I'd be looking to move. I just can't imagine being in a city that actively says defund the police and the governor says, no, don't bring in the National Guard. I'm like, this is why you bring the National Guard in, because they will shoot you with a hose and a rubber bullet, but there won't be blood in the street. There'll be a little bit of blood, but there won't be bodies in the street. And they're already stacking the bodies up now. Like, this is just going to accelerate. You're going to start getting nightly reports of 3 people died, 5 people died, 10 people died. Like, it's just going to it's just going to keep ratcheting up until you've got a real show of force where you got guys standing there with riot gear on, and they'll be fighting with it. Now, don't get me wrong. The National Guard's guys are going to be fighting with them, but the deaths are going to be much lower because all these
And we hope none of that happens, right? I mean,
I hope not, but
yeah.
I mean, we'll see if they step in, but it's not looking good. Now, like I said, thank God we live in Texas. We have that here because Abbott would just say, nah, we don't need the National Guard. We're good. We'll just have one night. Let's just stack these losers up on the end of the street, and that'll be it. It'll be over. Well, actually, the cops won't even put up with it.
Well, you saw the L.A., right? You saw that Mayor Garcetti now is trying to flip the coin. He's on the other side right now. They trapped, I don't know, about 150 protesters, rioters inside a tunnel, and arrested every single one of them. They basically harassed them. Cops basically shepherded them into the tunnel, and at the other side there was just L.A. County Sheriff vans with 5, 6 vans ready to arrest people.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, look it up. It's pretty crazy. And it got hot and heavy in that tunnel when they realized that they were getting trapped.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. God bless. I will tell you what, the hardest job in America right now is being a police officer. It is ridiculous. I don't. If I were even close to retiring, you gotta wonder what's going through their mind and their family's mind when they're going to work every day. I mean,
right.
It's serious. It is real serious. So that's our report for today. You got anything else, Rob? Buy a lot of real estate. Buy in Texas.
Yeah. Hurry up. Join our mastermind.
It's $10,000 a year. It's cheap.
All right. Excellent, guys. All right. Thanks a lot, Jason. Have a good one.